Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Tuesday. And first and foremost, let me send out positive vibrations and blessings to everybody, because we all know Lakers fans definitely need those vibrations, because after that atrocity, that atrocious play from the Lakers last night, hosting the Chicago Bulls on yesterday was damn near a complete embarrassment. And I just got one question. I got one question for all the people who was saying the Lakers were a super team and saying this and that. Well, you know what make the Lakers a super team? They put on a cape when LeBron James returned to the lineup. So as we can see, without LeBron James, the Lakers, of course, are 3-4 these past 7 games. So, and some of the losses were against not so good teams. And you would think, you know, even though Chicago is currently ranked top 3 in defense, which I said before the season that Caruso would be a pivotal key as far as bringing on the ball pressure and providing defensive presence for the Chicago Bulls. But let's just be honest, that's not what really led to that beatdown that the Lakers took on yesterday from Chicago. There was various different factors that led to that. And we're not just going to make an excuse and say, well, because LeBron James isn't there. But we all know once LeBron James returns to the fold, then it's going to be a lot different. So just going to have to be patient and wait. Hopefully LeBron will be back on Wednesday as the Lakers take on the Milwaukee Bucks and go on this 5 or 6 game road trip. So we'll see how that goes. But Lonzo Ball, man, I tell you what, Lonzo Ball definitely played great last night. And the Lakers, who, you know, drafted Lonzo, you know, Lonzo played right out there in college. And, you know, they had a chance to maybe bring Lonzo back, because the first time it didn't work out so well, even though he didn't play that bad. And, of course, he always played great defense, which I think that really, LeBron James really liked that. But at the end of the day, you know, his shot was terrible when he first came into the league, but he has improved on his three-point shot every year and just keeps getting better and better. And last night, what was he? 70%. So he was familiar with that court. He was familiar with that rim, and he knew that LeBron James wasn't going to be playing. So he said, you know what, let me go ahead and take advantage of this situation. And he really came out. And if somebody would have told you that Lonzo Ball would come out and shoot 7 from 10 from 3 and just humiliate Russell Westbrook, then somebody wouldn't have believed you if you would have told them that maybe 2 years ago. But the way Lonzo Ball is playing right now, you know, on both ends of the court as far as his defense is concerned, I mean, he came out and gave you 27, 7, and 8 last night and was a presence on the defensive end. And the Lakers, their ball movement was pretty much, their ball defense, you know, on the three-point line was terrible. They pretty much let Chicago shoot. I mean, you could say the shots were falling all day long, but it was terrible closeouts. I didn't see the energy. I didn't see the effort. Of course, the third quarter always keeps being a problem. They had the worst in the league as far as third quarter point differential at -87. So I don't know what it is about the third quarter, why the Lakers keep coming out flat time in and time out. You can't just blame that on the coaches, because the players have to take some kind of accountability. I don't know if they need to come out the locker room a little bit earlier, start getting in the layup line or doing whatever they need to do, like it's high school or something, just to work up a sweat and be able to get into the game. Because I really don't understand how, because in the first half, it was still kind of close, even though they gave up some points right there at the end of the half they shouldn't have. But it was still a pretty close game, and you thought, okay, well, the Lakers can definitely get into this. And at times they cut it down to 5 or 6. But at the end of the day, Russell Westbrook continued to make bonehead plays as far as turning the ball over. Lonzo Ball protected the ball pretty well and had a great game. Of course, Zach LaVine, that didn't surprise anybody. You knew Zach LaVine was going to come out and give you what he normally does. He was 26, 5, and 5. He was 6 out of 13 from 3. So he was basically damn near 50% from 3. 6 out of 13, that got to be like 45% from 3. Then DeMar DeRozan, 7 out of 10 for 3. Lonzo Ball, 7 out of 10 for 3. 70% from 3. And then let's talk about who really came out and gave it to it. And it was a homecoming for all these players because, like I said, Lonzo came back to a team that said, hey, y'all got rid of me for AD, which wasn't necessarily just a bad move. The Lakers maybe could have kept that core in place because let's not forget, I do want to bring this up, that Christmas Day before LeBron hurt the groin, the Lakers was up on Golden State by 30 points with that core. And that was against Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson when they were all fully healthy, and Draymond. And they were up by 30-some points before LeBron went down with the groin injury. And we all know the rest is history because they struggled when LeBron went down and they started to lose all their games. And then, of course, everybody got put on the trading block and didn't react too fondly to getting put on that trading block. So, you know, with all that being said, you know, that young squad is doing good now, you know, in their various places. Even though Brandon Ingram, I think, could be performing better. But at the end of the day, the Lakers could have brought back Lonzo Ball over the summer. I think he would have been willing to come back when he was a free agent. But, of course, we all know he signed with Chicago. But mainly DeMar DeRozan, who LeBron has just simply dominated in the playoffs so many times. So people want to take away from DeMar DeRozan, you know, and say the East was weak when LeBron James was just running through the East and just sweeping the Raptors damn near by himself, even when he didn't even have a Kyrie and the Raptors were the #1 seed. We all know what happened. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan couldn't do anything to stop LeBron James. So then you have a LeBron James out. So now DeMar DeRozan said he's really about to take advantage of the situation. Plus, you know, he's straight out of Compton. Straight out of Compton! A little dude named DeRozan. You know what I mean? So he came straight out of Compton. So it was a homecoming party for him to come back to LA. And plus he had a chip on his shoulder because, you know, he'd been down in San Antonio, and San Antonio hadn't been that great of a team the past couple of years. So he was kind of off the radar in a small market. You know, he felt like he got traded away from Toronto, and Toronto went on to win that championship, you know, with the claw. Of course, Golden State had a lot of injuries, really, that made them win that championship. But DeMar DeRozan probably felt like, hey, he could have had a ring in that situation. So he was probably licking his chops, just waiting for free agency. He even said that he would sign with the Lakers for a pay cut. He said he would sign with the Lakers for the pay cut, and everybody and their mama said that DeMar DeRozan wouldn't be a good fit. Even myself, I wasn't too keen on the idea. I knew he would be a great player, but I just felt like, you know, he just does a lot of mid-range. But now that you really think about it, that's what the Lakers need. Somebody that can go down and get you a bucket at any time. Because anytime DeMar DeRozan got in that sweet spot in the paint, you just knew what was going to happen. You knew he was about to hit that shot, and he was on fire. He had the soft touch. No matter what he threw up, it bounced around the rim and just roll in, whether it was net or whatever. And Lonzo Ball's shots was all net, man. I don't know how his ugly Bill Cartwright-looking shot all of a sudden just got so sweet and pure, but it did. And DeMar DeRozan had his way, 38 points. Even shot 2 out of 5 from 3, even though he's not really a long-distance shooter. He is respectable, and he shot 2 out of 5 last night. That's better than we could say for Carmelo, who was 0 for 4. That's better than we could say than Wayne Ellington, who Wayne Ellington I was very high on because he was a very good sharpshooter and always has been. But Wayne Ellington was 1 out of 6 from 3 last night, and he had a lot of open looks. He simply just could not hit them. He would not fall down. I don't like the fact that, you know, Bazemore, come on now, Bazemore won Defensive Player of the League when he was in college in his respective conference. So you got somebody who is a great defender, who I said from the beginning of the year is great. And I understand Malik Monk has been shooting well, and he had some great games against Miami or whatnot. But you got to find a balance to this thing, and you have to be able to know your matchups and what's going on. And when DeMar DeRozan was having his way throughout the whole game, that's at that point you need to insert more of a defensive specialist in a Bazemore and try to get him to pressure DeMar DeRozan and force him into bad shots or giving up the ball. But unfortunately, Frank Vogel is not that great of a coach, and he didn't do that until very late in the game. And then you can see when Bazemore came in, the energy that he brought as far as his defensive presence. Of course, the Lakers were never close, but you can see what he was doing because Toronto kept their starters in for quite some time, even though the game was well out of hand. But AD, we talk about that in the situation about as far as him getting ejected. But the thing about it is, AD, if I'm not mistaken, only had 4 shot attempts in the whole first half. This man was getting doubled and triple teamed. And Billy Donovan, who was once the coach of OKC, and I want to say out to the Wizards, but eventually landed a home here there in Chicago, has got them guys playing pretty well. He got them playing pretty well, and especially on the defensive end, as far as their defensive strategy, they decided to double AD all game, you know, and they were really doubling him from the strong side, not just from the weak side. They was double teaming him where they know they would have to kick it out to none other than Russell Westbrook, and they knew Westbrook is not going to really stretch the floor. So when they did swing the ball around, Chicago was able to recover to the shooters on the defensive side. They were able to recover to the shooters because that's where they were coming from. And if they swing it around to Westbrook, they can live with him slashing to the hole, because then you can recover again defensively. And Chicago was out Vujovic, who was one of their best 3-point shooters. So imagine if they had him. He's out due to COVID protocol. So Chicago looking like a pretty good squad, even though you saw what Golden State did to them the other day while they was on this West Coast trip. But then again, they did take down the Clippers and stop their 7-game streak on yesterday. So Chicago is a formidable team. I think once they get it going, they can challenge any team in the Eastern Conference when you talk about a 7-game series, because they play great defense. And I know a lot of people, well, THT had a career high, THT did this and THT did that. Well, I tell you what, to me, THT had the most meaningless points that I've seen him play. He had 28 points, his career high, but a lot of those points was when they was down by so much and they didn't even really mean anything. And I just feel like the combination, you know, maybe you could have had him coming in for Westbrook, but at times you did have both of them on the floor. You never really got Rondo going. I mean, the offense just became very stagnant. You did start to make a adjustment because AD started to get hot in that third quarter, because you saw where the double team was coming from. So instead of trying to have him dominate the paint, you was bringing him more out to the elbow in that sweet spot, and he started to hit a lot of those 16 and 17-foot jumpers that was all net and was looking pretty good at that point. And it seemed like you were making some kind of adjustments to get Anthony Davis involved to where the double and triple team wasn't matter. But we all do know threes are worth more than 2. So regardless if he was hitting that elbow shot, when you had Lavine and Lonzo Ball out here knocking down the threes the way they was knocking them down, and then, you know, 3-point plays by some of the Bulls bench just coming in time after time, getting all the calls. So I know it just led to a lot of frustration from the Lakers. And then the play, of course, let me all know how you feel about Anthony Davis ejection, because the way I look at it is, Anthony Davis, you know, you probably was more upset because you felt you were fouled on that play and you went to the ground and your shoe came off and you was trying to get your shoe on and they inballed the play. I don't personally know what was said. I think it had to be something pretty bad, and I know a lot of people are on the referee, but at the end of the day, you do got to maintain some level of professionalism no matter how frustrated you are. So if he called him a little B word, you know, or whatever, I'm not sure, but it had to be bad. I know they say the refs, people didn't come to see the refs, and don't do that, but Anthony Davis needs to be aware of how many technicals he has in the game, and it's not the referee's job, and he already had a technical, so it's not the referee's job to sit up here and hold the ball while you tie your shoe. And I know a lot of people are going to look back and say, well, against that game in Miami, they let Tyler Hero tie his shoe. Well, that was almost in a substitution. You know, there was a dead ball. He was coming into the game, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody else was getting subbed into the game from a dead ball, which gives you a little bit more time. And he did take his time and they came in. But, you know, this was an in-game situation. The play had just happened. It wasn't a foul call. You know, when there's a foul, okay, then there's a play stoppage. You got to take it out of bounds, and you have to allow for substitutions and things of that nature. But it was just a simple, you know, out of bounds play, you know, and they inbounded the ball. You got to do your best to go up court. I think the NBA maybe should look at this to see, you know, if that's something they should stop play for, because ultimately you do want the players to be safe, and they stop play for your shirt being tucked out. So Why not for shoes being untied, which could be dangerous. But at the end of the day, I think that it goes both ways. You have to be prepared. And, you know, if you shoot, I've seen players, who was that, Mike Miller with Miami, lost a shoe in the finals and came down there with one shoe and hit a three with one shoe on. You got to do what you got to do. There's been players that kick somebody else's shoe to the side. So, you know, lace up your shoes, you know, and keep playing the best way you can. That's all I can say. I don't know as far as the ejection. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it because, like I said, I don't know what was said. But one thing I will say is Anthony Davis needs to be more aware in-game situations. And, you know, if he already had a technical, then he needed to really be careful about what he had to say. And I know he was pretty frustrated, more so than how the game was going, because they was up there getting that ass whooped yet again and having such a terrible third quarter. So let's just hope King James can come back and bring them back down to earth and let them understand how a basketball game is supposed to be played. But like I said, everybody keeps saying that the Lakers aren't super. Everybody keeps saying that. They was a super team. They was a super team. But how the hell are they a super team if they can never beat these other teams and even bottom-ranked teams? How can they be a super team? That's what I'm trying to see until LeBron James come back. And then all of a sudden they're a super team. So, you know, we got some good matchups tonight, though. We ain't going to focus all on this because hopefully LeBron will be back for that marquee matchup against Milwaukee tomorrow. But tonight we do have the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Golden State Warriors, which I think will be a very interesting game. The Nets, of course, Kevin Durant was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and the Nets have been looking nice in all these wins, even though they have been playing somewhat of subpar opponents. But with all that being said, they will take on the #1 team by record in the league, the Golden State Warriors, surprisingly to a lot of people. But with the ball movement of Golden State, it'll be interesting to see how the Brooklyn Nets will play defense. So that'll be very interesting to see how they can see if they can slow down Steph Curry. And of course, Kevin Durant is, you know, usually is going to have his way, and we'll see just how well he be able to play and see what Steve Kerr comes up with as far as defensively and what kind of strategy they come up with to slow Kevin Durant down, because as we all know, you can never stop Kevin Durant. You can only hope to slow him down. So that'll be a good game tonight, and we'll have some feedback on that tomorrow. And I'm sorry, y'all, the GOAT countdown will continue on tomorrow, either later this day, but I do have the list ready. And I know somebody asked me that I want to make a video regarding the Scottie Pippen comments. Trust me, it's coming. I do plan on reading the book in its entirety, and when I drop it, it's gonna be real. You understand what I'm saying? But as always, man, this been your boy B New. I'm just screaming right on to the real, man, and much love to these haters. I'm out.